Hello, and welcome to Fursuiting in the Time of Quarantine. I'm Shetani, and I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to contribute to AnthrocOn's programming this year. One of the great things about furry conventions going virtual is that the convention-going experience has now become accessible to so many more people than before. From the comfort of our homes and for a fraction of the cost, we can now attend and support furry conventions across the country or even on the other side of the world. Today marks the 10th time that I have hosted this panel at an online convention since the start of the pandemic, but this is the first time that I'm giving a panel at the virtual iteration of a convention that I've also attended in person. AnthrocOn is one of my very favorite furry conventions, and I'm so thrilled to be able to be here presenting my panel in front of you all today. All right, before we get started, I would like to just do a little bit of housekeeping here. I'd like to request that you please hold all questions until the designated Q&A segment of the panel. You're more than welcome to type questions and comments into the chat as we go along, but please be aware that while I'm presenting, I will not be able to look at the chat and read what you guys are saying. AnthrocOn is the first online con I've paneled at that I believe will be allowing attendees to ask questions via voice, but again, please do not interrupt me while I'm speaking. After the presentation is done, we'll have a nice long Q&A segment where I'll be more than happy to address all your questions and comments and what have you. Many of us here, myself included, are new to Google Meets. I recommend that you hover over my face and click on Pin to make my screen bigger. That way you will be able to read the slides more clearly. In the bottom right of your screen, I believe, this would be your right, actually. In the bottom right, you can click on the chat bubble icon to access the text chat. Also, making everyone aware that this panel is being recorded by myself for posterity. This is to accommodate the many folks who expressed a desire to watch the AnthrocOn panel but would not be able to make it for the live broadcast. Barring technical difficulties, fingers crossed, there will be a recording of this panel available on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Shetani, in the days following this broadcast. The link to my YouTube channel should be up above my head to the side of your screen. So if you miss part of the panel, if you want to go back and listen to something again, or perhaps even show it to a friend who is not able to be here for Virtual Anthrocon, you will be able to rewatch at your leisure. I will also have that video captioned for greater accessibility. So, let's start off with a brief introduction. Hi, my name is Shetani, my pronouns are she, her, and my fursona is a king cheetah. I've been an active part of the furry community since 2012, though I had been following along for many years prior. I've been a fursuiter for 7 years and counting now, and it is one of my most enjoyed pastimes. Let's take a look at the situation at hand. As we all know, the furry community is a vast and diverse space, and there are so many different ways that we connect with the community as well as each other. Just as how you don't need to be a cosplayer to be a part of any other fandom, owning a fursuit is not at all a requirement to take part in the furry community. However, there is a small yet vocal minority of us who do enjoy fursuiting. For those of us who do, it is a great pastime. Either you've invested a lot of time and effort into this, paying someone a great deal to make a fursuit for you just to your specifications, or perhaps you yourself have made that fursuit and you've invested all of that time, effort, learning process, materials, and creativity into making what are essentially these wearable works of art. Our fursunas are characters that are very near and dear to us. Fursuiting is something more than just cosplay. We're not dressing up as characters from a video game or a movie that somebody else has created. We've made these characters ourselves for the most part and grown very attached to them, and having the opportunity to embody them in the flesh, so to speak, is personally significant to us. Fursuiting's not just a performance. In our community, it's a social activity. We've come to rely on fursuits as an aid for socializing, networking, and having fun. Many furries have some level of social anxiety, and no matter which side of the costume you're on, fursuiting helps break the ice and embolden folks to be more confident, able to speak to people they normally wouldn't have the courage to talk to, try new things, and even go to places that they would never go before. Naturally, conventions are where the bulk of these social gatherings take place. Though we are slowly seeing physical events pop up in certain countries and areas, thanks to the gradual rollout of the vaccine, the great bulk of in-person furry cons have been postponed for the time being. The same goes for fur meets and the like, and with many places still enforcing social distancing measures, people can't even go outside to public suit. This begs the question, what do I do with my fursuit when there are no in-person events and I can't even go outside to meet up with my friends? Now, many of us can't go to conventions for a variety of reasons, be it finances, traveling, physical limitations, getting time off of work, or perhaps there just aren't very many furry events in your area. I myself do not go to as many cons as some of the more prolific fursuiters and furry personalities that you might happen to see online. For this reason, I've gotten really good at finding ways to utilize my fursuit without having to rely on an external event. Shortly after the pandemic began, I noticed that a lot of my fursuiter friends and peers on social media were lamenting that they didn't know what to do with their fursuits without conventions. They were completely at a loss. They could barely pick up the suit and put it on knowing that they couldn't go out and do so with their friends. They talked about how they felt sad and disappointed, looking over at the fursuit all packed up in its box, waiting for the chance to wear it again. This threw me for a loop, to be completely honest. And I thought to myself, well, what's stopping you from wearing your fursuit right now? I realized that there was a niche that I could help fill, and decided why not share those techniques and ideas with my fellow fursuiters to help make their quarantine experience a little more bearable. So without further ado, let's get into it. One of the simplest and most accessible things that you can do with your fursuit at home is photoshoots. Now, a lot of people are daunted by this at first. You hear the term photography and you think of expensive cameras and lenses and lighting setups and the whole 9 yards. That couldn't be further from the truth. While having dedicated photography equipment would be, of course, very helpful, for a hobbyist or somebody just looking to have some fun at home, it is by no means required. These days, almost everyone has a smartphone right there in their pocket. With the ubiquitousness of phones, they're almost required for modern life, and so the standard smartphone can do a lot more than folks give it credit for. Unless your phone is very old, like several years old, it's likely that it has a pretty high quality camera, definitely serviceable for taking some fursuit photos. Now, every fursuit is built differently and has a different set of limitations, but some things are just more difficult to do in fursuit if you don't have a handler. A handler is a second person not wearing a fursuit who assists the fursuiter with doing certain tasks that are made more difficult by wearing the costume. Depending on your situation, whether there are people you're sheltering in place with, whether you live alone, whether your household members are or are not willing to help you out with your fursuiting, you may find yourself having to manage solo. Worry not, there are tons of tools that you can use to assist with doing photo shoots entirely on your own. I personally am fortunate enough to live with my partner who is also a furry, but there, are times when she's busy and can't help out. Or perhaps I have a really specific vision in my head for how I want a shoot to go, and it's not something that another person can visualize. Or sometimes I just like to do everything myself. Over the years, I've picked up a bunch of tips and tricks for managing fursuit photography entirely on one's own. The number one tool, which for me is a lifesaver, is voice activation. If you go into the settings on your phone's camera, there will likely be a toggle for this. On my Android phone, it is called voice control, It might have a different name depending on which type of phone that you have. Essentially, you say a command like smile or capture, and the phone will take a picture for you. I like to say cheese because it makes my eyes crinkle up, which is very useful for the unique type of fursuit that I have. Voice control is super helpful for hands-free photography. If your fursuit has big unwieldy paws that are hard to get on and off quickly, or like myself, you have fursuit paws with attached arm sleeves, and you can't take your paw off without entirely starting to disrobe, you will find this extremely helpful. Honestly, I think voice activation is underutilized for cell phone photography. A lot of people don't even know that their phone can do this. You can even use it to record video, not just pictures, though we'll get to that later on. For getting a full body shot or something staged, like a wider shot in front of a backdrop, you're going to want to place your phone on something instead of holding it. I recommend investing in a tripod for this. Again, it doesn't have to be expensive or professional if that is not financially accessible for you. You can do a lot with just those little 3-leg phone tripods with bendy legs. There are also gooseneck tripods that will clip onto maybe a desk or a shelf that you have. Selfie sticks are also a viable choice. Those were super popular years back, so you probably have one just lying around your house collecting dust. Why not put that to good use? And here we can see Airladies making fantastic use of a selfie stick. Of course, don't forget about timers. You can set up the timer on your phone or use an external one. You can get a little handheld gadget, buy it online, that pairs up to your phone using Bluetooth, press the button and it takes a picture for you. If you have a smaller hand paw on your fursuit with more dexterity, you can use one of these pretty easily, or you can even hide it inside your paw so the remote isn't visible in the shot. And if all else fails, you can always go for the tried and true hand behind the back pose. Again, you don't really need to go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff. This is all about fursuiting for fun at home with what you already have. Say you don't have a tripod for your camera. Stack up a bunch of books or some boxes and put your phone on top. There's no need to buy a pro light setup when a well-angled desk lamp will do the trick. And hey, don't forget about the good old sun. Lighting honestly does a lot for good-looking photos, and often your fursuit will look different in artificial and natural light. You can play around with this. If you don't have a secondary light source, wait until the height of the day and position yourself in front of an open window. See which you like best. If you really want to make your fursuit pictures pop, a little bit of editing can go a long way. Perhaps your camera isn't the best quality, or you took a nice picture but it's a little bit blurry. Some very basic editing can help clear that up. You especially see this when taking pictures with the front-facing camera on your phone, as that is usually of a lower megapixel quality, and the photos you take may be a little grainy or less clear. Many phones allow you to edit your photos right from the camera app, and of course, various social media applications have a plethora of filters and tools you could use. Even Telegram, which you probably use if you're a furry, has photo controls that let you adjust the saturation, the gamma, the contrast, all of that, of the pictures that you're sending to make your shots look real snazzy. Now, most of us don't live in a mansion or have a whole photo studio full of props and backdrops at our disposal. That's okay, this is all just for fun. You can try rearranging your furniture, use different camera orientations, basically just see what you can do with what's available to you. There are many online tutorials and life hack style videos that can show you how to do cool and creative photo tricks with what you already have available right there in your house. So, how about some ideas for all these photos you'll be taking, huh? Well, let's start off with something simple and easy. You've got hobbies other than fursuiting, right? Right? Well, why not go ahead and show these off to the world? If your persona, like mine, is basically a furry representation of yourself, you can set up scenes that show what you like to do. Or if your fursuit is more of a separate character, you can think of activities that fit with their personality or the world that they live in. Here we've got Wad, who is not only a fursuiter but a fursuit maker, making fursuits while in fursuit. How cool is that? And Bavels the bunny over there is outside doing some gardening on a lovely sunny day. Perfect environment for a cute little bunny to be in, and something that really fits with his character. Cosplaying is always super popular and also a personal favorite of mine. After all, fursuiting is just another form of cosplay. We're simply dressing up as characters of our own creation rather than ones someone else made up. And I really like combining costumes with my partial fursuit to blur the lines and help bridge the gap in people's minds. Here is a photo from a shoot I did as Diva from Overwatch in her carbon fiber skin. As you can see, I set up a bunch of video game cases, some gamer snacks, Mountain Dew and Doritos, that kind of thing. Simple props you have lying around the house that will just help flesh out your scene a little bit more and make it look more like a photo shoot. As well, we have Fangorn, who is of course dressed as a Jedi Knight from Star Wars, complete with a working lightsaber and some space-related paraphernalia. Very cool and very fun. Bedroom posing is a tried and true furry favorite. Also a valid option for the itty-bitty living space people. If you live in a dorm or an apartment or somewhere even without a lot of space, I'm fairly certain you at least have a bed that you can call your own. Things like coordinating bed sheets or stuffed animals that match your persona species can bring a little more character to your photos. And whether you choose to go for sleepy, cute, or even a little bit spicy, there is a whole gamut of moods that you can convey with these type of pictures. Working from home. Now here's a new fursuiting scenario that actually came to be because of the pandemic. Thanks, COVID. If you're fortunate enough to be able to work from home, you can pop your fursuit on and snap some pictures showing what a typical workday is like for you. And even if this isn't the case, if you think it would be fun or it would fit your fursona or fursuit character, you can totally set up a working from home set and do it anyway. It may sound kind of silly to lay it out like this, but folks really do forget that you can just make things up for fun. I mean, look at me. I may not be a cheetah in real life, but I play one on the internet. Staging photos is totally an acceptable and viable option for any situations that your imagination can conjure. Playing with pets. Oh, this is a great one. Here we have Edward getting in some valuable pooch time, and Blue with his own beloved dog, whose appearance actually inspired the look of that fursuit. Look at them right there. They're matching. It's so cute. The juxtaposition of real and costume animal gets so many reactions from folks online, whether it be dogs, cats, ferrets, rats, birds, reptiles, or even fish. If you share your home with pets, they can often make really fun and unique co-stars for your fursuit photo shoots. Keep in mind that animals can often react unpredictably to people in costume, so if you've never tried this before, do take time to ensure that your pet is accustomed to your fursuit and also interacting with you while you're wearing it. You do not want a traumatized or injured pet or a damaged fursuit. Cooking is another fun photo shoot idea that ties into the hobbies that I mentioned earlier. I'm doing a staged photo here, but you can see from Sayrak's example, there are some fursuiters who can and actually do make food while in fursuit. Buttercup is an absolutely darling fursuiter who runs a YouTube channel called Bake Me Up Buttercup. She bakes lots of yummy treats in a fursuit and shares the recipes with her viewers. I recommend checking her out if you're interested, and I will be touching on this topic again a little bit later on. Fursuit pictures don't always need to be elaborate fantasy scenes. You can just show people scenes from everyday life. This is something that doesn't require a lot of outside effort or preparation, which makes it accessible to practically every fursuiter. Here we have Captain Julius, who is a cuttlefish, sitting down to have a picnic and eating some sushi, which is an absolutely hilarious and creative idea that plays off the species of his fursona. Meanwhile, Ashram there is in fursuit doing laundry, and what makes it even more unusual is that he is hanging up yet another fursuit. Again, there's so much potential for creativity here, and just the fact that a big old animal person is doing it can make even the most mundane task memorable and engaging for your audience. As a more specific offshoot of the previous topic, show people what you've been doing while you're in quarantine. Over the past year, I really relished dressing down, wearing some nice comfy clothes, and relaxing with a big old cup of hot tea to play some games on my Nintendo Switch. So here I am, doing just that, for example. And finally, the tried and true selfie. No frills, no bells or whistles, just take a nice photo of yourself. Portraits like these are great for showing off different facial expressions or moods of your fursuit, as well as a really nice outfit or accessories for us partial fursuiters. Utilize what you have in your environment for these. Say you're taking pictures in front of a blank wall and you want less negative space behind you. Use a poster or a window, a cool art piece that you have in your house that you can frame yourself in front of to make a more interesting and engaging shot. One thing that I would like to highlight before we move on, this unprecedented situation can give us unique opportunities for fursuiting that we normally wouldn't be able to access. Many fursuiters have reservations about fursuiting in public when not at a convention or another socially accepted setting. This pandemic has forced a lot of people indoors, which means that outdoor spaces are not as populated as they used to be. So for those of you who may be more shy or hesitant about suiting outside, this may be your chance to try some new things. I myself had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity this past June when a crosswalk was painted with the Progress Pride flag for Pride Month, and the main intersection had been shut down temporarily due to the current situation. I grabbed a local photographer friend of mine, and while staying socially distant, as you can see from the focal length of that shot, we were able to go out and get these absolutely amazing shots, which normally would not have been possible. Other fursuiter friends of mine have reported being able to do stuff like go hiking and climb mountains, which would normally not have been possible. These can make for some really breathtaking photos. You can even do something like go out to an abandoned shop or a business that is closed down. As long as you can do it safely and make sure that you're social distancing, this can be your opportunity to do some really cool stuff. Please note that if you do choose to go outside for fursuiting, you must also wear a protective face mask under your fursuit. No, your fursuit head is not a substitute for a mask. Fursuit heads are built to have the best possible ventilation and airflow, which is the exact opposite of what a medical mask is designed to do. A fursuit head does not filter anything, and it will not prevent the spread of viral particles. It's not a good idea to even joke about this, because even in the context of humor, it spreads the idea, which can lead to uninformed people making some very unwise decisions. Remember that fursuiting is not a life necessity, so if you do make the decision to go outside with your fursuit on, you will have to wear a mask. In addition to taking pictures, you can also make videos in your fursuit. We don't have a lot of time here today, so I won't reiterate things that I've already said. Just know that a lot of the techniques and suggestions that I mentioned for photography can be applied to videography as well. Again, what can be done with your own phone without the need for a camcorder or a designated video camera. I mentioned voice activation earlier, which can be used not only to take pictures, but also start recording a video completely hands-free. All those tips about tripods and using tools to stabilize your camera for photography certainly go hand in hand for video recording as well. Editing your videos in post, you do not need paid or professional level software to do this. The videos can be edited with many social media apps if you're recording a video to post on social media. Your phone itself will have a video editor that supports basic editing functions like cropping the screen, changing the lighting, cutting down the length. Maybe you need to take a couple seconds off the beginning or the end when you had your fursuit paw off to hit the button on the camera. You can just do that right in the video app itself. If you have a laptop, it most likely has a webcam built right in. You can use that, and utilize some of the editing tips mentioned to clean up your video a little. If you don't have one, or one of yours is kind of crappy, you can buy your own webcam. There was a time when it was more difficult to find webcams due to everybody doing video calls and conferencing, but I personally did not encounter much trouble when started looking for mine. This video is actually being recorded on a webcam right now. As you can see, the image quality is pretty darn good, and it was not very expensive at all. If you don't have a webcam, you can also download free software to utilize your own phone as a webcam. This is good to keep in mind if you want to do group chats or live streaming in your Fursuit, which I will talk more about later. Of course, if you don't want to record on your machine itself, you can just record videos on your phone and plug that into your computer later on to transfer the files over. If your videos involve you talking, you'll probably want to use an external microphone to record sound. Fursuit heads being something big that's right in front of your face, on your mouth, will often muffle the voice and can make it hard for your audience to understand you. Some people use lapel mics or little small ones that they can put inside of their fursuit head while they're talking. Or like I'm doing, you can get an external mic, whatever's within your price range, and have that on a stand fairly close to your face to record audio while you're in fursuit. Then you can sync your audio track up to the video. Free programs like Audacity can be used to adjust your audio and clear up any background noise or muffling that may occur due to the fursuit head. Another option, which depends on what kind of video you're doing, is to record the audio separately, either beforehand or in post, and edit that into the video itself. If you're doing a how-to video or something with a narration or a voiceover, this will probably be what you want to do. Again, don't focus too much on this. Your videos don't need to look or sound professional unless you're a professional streamer or you have a Patreon where people are literally paying you to make fursuit content. It's just something to have fun and keep active in your fursuit during the pandemic. So you do not need to worry about being the best of the best. The most important part is that you yourself are having fun. Here you can see me right there showing off a couple tools of the trade. I've got a green screen behind me for recording video. I've got a blue snowball microphone on a stand, and of course some headphones for audio editing. As a quick reminder for anyone who may be popping into the panel right now, hello. This is Fursuiting in the time of quarantine. I'm discussing ways that you can remain an active fursuiter without having to go outside to external events. This panel is being audio and video recorded by myself for posterity, so if you happened to miss part of the beginning of the panel, that will be available on my YouTube channel in the days following AnthrocOnline, so you can go back and watch at your leisure. We will also have a Q&A session at the end of the panel, so if anyone is asking me questions right now, I absolutely cannot hear or see what you are saying. We will get to those later on, so hang tight. So, what are some ideas for fursuit videos that you can make? Short videos are very accessible and very easy for folks to get right into. Cute little skits are super great to do. Maybe an idea such as showing what your fursuit character would react if they're having a bad day. Or perhaps they're trying something new, either it goes well or it goes poorly. How would you react to that? Maybe they get locked outside while they're bringing in the mail and they have to figure out a way to get back into the house. Fun stuff like that. Memes are obviously super popular and super easy to make videos about while in fursuit. Every day there's some new meme going on around online, and if you're looking for quick and fun things to do in your fursuit and keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the community, this is the way to go. Dance videos are another great option. Fursuit dancing is extremely popular and a big subculture in its own right within our furry community. I myself choose not to dance in fursuit. I've got 2 left feet, but I have the utmost respect and admiration for those of us who have the skill to dance in fursuit and want to share their talents and expression with the world. If you have even the slightest modicum of dance talent, I highly recommend dancing in your fursuit. You can even do updates in fursuit, talking about what's going on with your life, current events, how you're handling the pandemic, anything new or exciting that's going on. Where to post these videos you're making depends on where you're most active and what you would like to do with them. Twitter is a very big site for furries right now. A ton of furries are on Twitter. I predominantly use that site myself. It has a 2-minute and 20-second time limit on its videos. You can get a lot of content into that time frame, but if you happen to go over that, what you can do is easily put a shorter preview of the video on Twitter and link to your complete upload somewhere else. Instagram is another great social media platform for short form videos, one that I also use myself. This one has a 1-minute limit on the video itself as a post, though it does have a temporary feature called stories, which disappear after a day. Those only have a 15-second limit, but if your video is longer, you can chain several of those together. Twitter's got a similar feature called fleets, though I myself do not have access to those yet and thus have not been able to experience firsthand. Depending on what kind of content you are making, you can utilize either of those to your advantage. TikTok is a very popular platform, though not one that I myself make use of, so I'm not super duper familiar with its features. It used to have a 1-minute limit, though I believe that's now lifted for certain users. TikTok's got its unique duet feature where you can essentially make a reply video to somebody else's video. This is great for, say, someone's doing a trend and you want to participate, or you want to add something onto a funny video that another furry has made. That gives you a lot of content opportunities to work with. TikTok also has an audio library of songs, dialogue clips from movies, as well as user-created audio clips that can be utilized in the videos that you make on that platform, giving you some more ideas for what you can do with your fursuit videos. If you have more to say and do than can be just crammed into a couple seconds, longer format videos expand your content creation possibilities. I myself run a YouTube channel where I do a series called Cheetah Chat with Shetani. I talk about different topics of interest pertaining to the furry community that I don't see other people talking about too much. You can check that out if you're interested at youtube.com/Shetani. Discussion videos and talking head style videos are quite popular. Almost everyone has knowledge or opinions that they would like to share with the community. How-tos are another thing you can do. I mentioned Bake Me Up Buttercup earlier, who runs a baking and recipe video series, all being done in fursuit, of course. If you have any other talents or hobbies, like playing a musical instrument, for instance, maybe that's a skill that you have, and you can do that in fursuit to be more engaging. There's crafting, building, pretty much anything that you can do in your fursuit. You can show others how to do it as well. Reaction videos are a thing, doing vlogs. If you yourself aren't a very hands-on or creative type, this is always a great option for you. Though recall that your videos don't always have to be in these formats. You can even do short films in fursuit. Perhaps your character is one that you have established a world and a universe for, or maybe there's a story that you want to be told, and you choose to do that through the medium of combining video with fursuiting. There are even online furry film festivals that you can submit your films to, get them in front of a wider audience, and have the chances to win prizes and accolades for your work. Platforms for doing this include YouTube, one of the biggest and most well-known online video sites. This will get you the largest number of views if you choose to use it, and has a 15-minute limit for regular users, longer if you are verified. YouTube's popularity can be both a blessing and a curse, as you'll get a very wide audience, but you can't always control what type of people will see your videos. So you may have some bleed over outside of the furry community that could lead to harassment, trolling, or other less than desirable interaction. Vimeo is another platform for longer videos. This one does not have a length limit for uploads. So if you've got something like a feature-length fursuit film that you've made, or you want to share a 6-hour video talking about why your favorite movie series is so awesome in your fursuit, you can do that as well. This platform is less restrictive in terms of content matching. YouTube can be pretty militant about this and is absolutely notorious for hitting people with a copyright strike for something like 6 seconds of a song that they used in their video. With Vimeo, you don't need to worry about that, but on the downside, it does have a much smaller user base, so you may not get as much organic traffic to your videos on there. You might have to do a little bit of a hustle yourself with promoting them elsewhere. Piggybacking off of that, streaming is another thing that you can do in your fursuit while you're stuck at home. You don't even have to leave your house to do it. Gaming is probably one of the more common streaming activities. Folks love to stream themselves playing all sorts of video games, card games, even tabletop games. It's a great way to make new friends, and money has even been raised for charities and good causes through donation streams hosted by furries in our community. Art can also be streamed online. We furries love to commission art of our characters, as well as watch the artists at work, bringing the masterpieces to life. Another MagpieBones fursuit compatriot of mine has done art streams while in his fursuit. And of course, being in fursuit while you make art can drive a lot of viewers to your stream. Q&As, AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, TMI Tuesdays, things where you interact with your online friends and followers and have them ask you questions to answer and drive the conversation. Those are very popular as well. Many of the platforms I've mentioned earlier support live streaming in some capacity, those including YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as platforms that are specifically set up for hosting streams, like Twitch and Discord for gaming, and Picarto, which is geared towards artists. Before we transition away from videos, I'd like to mention making GIFs. If you filmed a longer format video or short format video, like the kinds I mentioned previously, you can snip short little clips out of those and make them into GIFs for easy sharing online. Here are some cute examples of things that you can do. Aries is playing and cuddling with their pet kitty cat, while Mark is giving us a very cute little lion wave. If you use Telegram or social media, you'll know how popular these are for use as reaction images. And instead of searching through for the perfect one to capture your mood, you can simply make one using your own fursuit. No need to pay somebody $1 billion to make you a custom animated Telegram sticker. People react very well to these, and it's something more novel than just sending an emoji or a generic sticker of somebody else's character. Public video projects are so much fun to participate in as well as host. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, in short, it's a creative project where many people come together to bring an idea to life. Someone comes up with a concept for a video that they'd like to make. They ask their friends or put out a call on social media for like-minded individuals willing to participate. Everybody gets their part or their instructions on what they need to do, film their video, and the host puts everything together into one collaborative project. Usually you'll see this taking the form of a music video, as the concept lends itself well to the format, but there are unlimited things that you can do. If you're a fursuiter looking for such videos to participate in, keep an eye out for submission calls on sites like Twitter, Telegram chats, Discord servers, popular places for furries. People will be posting something like, hey, I'm doing this project and I'm looking for submissions of such and such to be done by this date. And remember, if you can't find any to participate in, and you have an idea that you don't see people doing, and you want to bring that to life, you yourself can host your own. All you need to do is just get people to spread the word about your project, and I guarantee you, other fursuiters will come and want to contribute. So, let's take a look at some examples of public fursuiter video projects that I've contributed to myself. Quarantine by Ringer is a project where Ringer themselves is a composer who wrote a song about what it's like being in quarantine. And for the visual, they took a bunch of clips of fursuiters just showing how they're weathering the pandemic and put it all together. If you'd like to check out the video yourself, there is a link to Ringer's YouTube page on screen. Another video project that I took part in is Mask Up. This was a video where fursuiters were asked to take a short clip of themselves putting on a face mask or utilizing a face covering in some way with their fursuit and submit that to the project. Topical concepts like these are quite popular, and with other people submitting and contributing, you've got something great that's more engaging than what you could just do at home sitting there by yourself. Again, the link to Moore's page is on the screen if you would like to watch the mask up video. Rascal is an amazing fursuiter who did a really cool series showcasing different fursuiters from around the world. This was a monumental undertaking that spanned something like 20 weeks and 2 separate volumes. The videos were hosted on TikTok, but you did not have to have a TikTok account to participate. All the preparation was done on Telegram, and I haven't even counted all of the different countries and continents that ended up being represented when the video project was done. It's such an amazing showcase of all the diversity that we have in the furry community. And again, this is the prime example of the type of fursuiting you can do and support without having to go out to travel. Rascal is also an amazing person. They do fursuit video projects like these on the regular. So if you're looking for stuff like this to participate in yourself, I highly recommend that you follow them. They always have great ideas and great new things for other people to be part of. If you wish to do something a little bit more technically advanced, a great example to take inspiration from is Infernity, the Taiwanese furry convention, and their chain reaction video. For this, they asked participants to take a card, hold it up to the camera while not in fursuit, and then remove the card to show themselves in their fursuit. Then the person would pass the card off screen to the next participant, and then all the videos got synced up. These kinds of transition videos or videos with a common visual linking all of the pieces are very popular on TikTok and other apps right now. Like I said, this is kind of like advanced mode for group video projects. It's more technically complicated in that you are involving props, and also the creator has to coordinate the direction in which every person in the lineup is passing their card so that everything flows together smoothly. But in the end, the final project was really something very impressive. If these projects have gotten you excited to take part in some fursuit group videos right now, I have fantastic news. Great Fox is currently taking video submissions for his Automatic Fox music video. Just go to the Telegram chat link right there to find out more information and send in your clip. And make sure to tell him Shetani sent you. Group video calls are also a very engaging option. There's no reason to not do this in fursuit if you have other people that you're comfortable fursuiting with on camera. There are many different platforms that can be used if you want to start hosting group video chats on your own. Zoom allows you to do group video calls for up to 40 minutes with a free plan and up to 100 members. For those who want to host their own meetings and or think this is something that they will be doing very frequently, you can shell out for the paid option, which expands your time limit meetings. Discord has no time limit and no member limit as far as I know. This is something I've been getting more involved with myself in recent days. Omegle is a browser-based video chat site that you do not need to download a separate client for, and is only one-on-one. Telegram has finally just rolled out group video call support a couple days before this broadcast. Finally, it allows video calls in group chats for up to 30 participants. These video calls can either be scheduled or impromptu. For instance, I am in a cheetah group on Telegram, and all the cheetahs get together every month or so to do a group video call. We chat, we wear our fursuits if we have them, play trivia together, Jackbox games, stuff like that. It's just a really fun time. At least while interacting with other furries, you'll know that it's a safe avenue for you to be wearing your fursuit. There are many different groups that facilitate networking in this regard. If you, the viewer, are looking for some fursuit group video chats that you can start taking part in right now, here are some furry video call communities on Discord. The servers have various schedules, are very flexible, and you also do not necessarily need to have your fursuit on to take part in the calls. So please don't worry about not being able to make it to every single event or what have you. This is all just for networking and making friends. Another event is the Fuzzy Omegle Weekends, which is facilitated on Twitter, but takes place on the video chat website Omegle. Instead of being a group chat, this is a one-on-one thing where you get matched up with a random fursuiter who is also using the same event tags. There's no time limit, and you can talk to the other person as long as you want. You can just skip them if you would like to move on to the next fursuiter. These groups meet every Saturday starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, so you can check out their Twitter page at FuzzyOWeekends if you would like to learn more about the event and how you can start participating as a fursuiter. Let's not forget about online conventions. As you can see, I'm attending an online convention right now. I'm wearing a fursuit and I'm having a great time. Many other virtual furry cons are hosted in a live format with events that you can participate in using your webcam. These can include online fursuit parades and fursuit meet and greets, just like the one that we had here at AnthrocOnline just yesterday afternoon. You can see them right there. Dance competitions as well. The Anthrocon 2021 Dance Comp will be happening later this evening. So here's a screenshot from the Anthrocon online dance comp last year. Dance competitions will typically take pre-recorded submissions beforehand and judge them live on stream. Though some VR chat cons have done actual live dance competitions with the help of body tracking technology. If you enter a fursuit dance comp, you'll likely be asked to record your submission video ahead of time. Costume contests are also a thing. Here we can see Temperance doing a cosplay of a Khajiit from Elder Scrolls. No, that is not a render, that is an honest-to-goodness fursuit. And they actually entered that into the Cosplay Central costume competition. Many video games, shows, and other media franchises have anthropomorphic animal characters or races. Depending on the species or the look of your fursuit, you can use accessories or outfits to adapt your fursona into a character from these media franchises. As seen in this example, a lot of naturally colored felines can do double duty as a Khajiit. I have a ton of friends who dress up their fursuits as characters from Beastars or Zootopia. Many franchises feature werewolves, dragons, various forms of mythical horse, species like that. You can adapt your fursuit to be either a specific or generic character from that universe. The sky really is the limit. And if you need some inspiration as a fursuiter, all you really need to do is hang around some non-furries at a con and see what you get misidentified as the most. So, you recorded a whole bunch of stuff in your fursuit. Where do you share it? Why, where the furries are, of course. And in this day and age, that means practically anywhere. Though there are a few sites that are more frequented by furries and have a rather large furry user base. Twitter is really big among furries right now. Instagram is pretty popular too. Facebook I do not use myself, though I know a lot of other furries do. Mastodon is a chat client that is similar to Twitter but with a lot better features, that has a sizable furry user base. Reddit, there's actually a really active furry community on Reddit at the r/furry subreddit. You can post there. Telegram is kind of like the Wild West for furries. There's a furry bot that you can use to search for furries in your area, your state, or even your city if it's big enough. You can join groups for furries of your species, like I'm in a chat for cheetahs. I'm in a chat for people who own fursuits by the maker MagpieBones, furries with similar hobbies as yourself. You name it, there is a furry Telegram group for it, I can assure you. The same goes for Discord servers, which I mentioned earlier, and in a like-minded group such as that, fursuiting stuff is more than welcome to be shared. So, it can be hard to motivate yourself to keep fursuiting in this pandemic. We do as much as we can, but in the end, you're still isolated at home, not actually going out with your friends. It can be mentally taxing to go through the effort of suiting up just to do a little couple fun things for social media. Try to motivate yourself to stay active by sticking to a schedule. You can say like, I'm going to post every Friday, or I'm going to post once a month at least. There are hashtag trends that you can follow on Twitter, Instagram, and other social media apps. Like hashtag Fursuit Friday is a great one. People share pictures of their fursuits on a weekly basis. There are even tags tailored to people with suits from a specific maker, like hashtag MagpieBones Monday in my case. You can go ahead and capitalize on that. Use it as an excuse to make yourself get into fursuit if that helps. Say something like, oh, Friday's coming up. I promised myself that I'd have a new picture to post. So that motivates you to get into your fursuit and make that content. Look for groups that meet on a regular basis. I mentioned some groups earlier that you can join where people get into fursuit and interact with each other. But of course, it's important to know your own limits and only do what you feel comfortable with. If you're just not feeling it one day, it's okay to skip a day of a chat group or something. Take care of yourself first and foremost. Take care of your physical and mental health. If you are not in the right mindset to fursuit, if it starts feeling more like a chore than a fun hobby, that's when you know that you need to step it back and recollect yourself, get your health back, and regain the right mindset before you go out and start suiting again. So why even bother fursuiting in quarantine? There are a ton of great reasons. First of all, maintenance of your fursuit. If you're putting the costume on and wearing it, you're going to have to maintain it afterwards. Fursuits can't be kept in a box or on a hanger for very long. They need to be maintained. When there's a long span of time between conventions or events, we sometimes don't do that as much as we should. By going through the motions of fursuiting, you'll become aware of any rips or popped seams that need to be maintained. You'll have to brush out any knots from the fur and disinfect it as you normally do to keep it in peak condition for when we can go out to see each other once again. Oh, not just yet. I got a little bit more. Suiting keeps you and your character in the public eye. If you don't post a lot on social media, your friends are going to start wondering what happened to you. Fursuit pictures and regular updates let people know that you're okay, you're not sick, and you're doing all right. Even during this pandemic situation when we're all stuck inside and can't go out to see friends, there's only so much that we can do. Human beings need social interaction. Fursuiting can be an avenue for that socialization. Even though we can't do it in person, we can still communicate with each other online and at least in part fulfill that social interaction need. And finally, just wearing your fursuit makes you happy. It's something that you enjoy. It's a hobby that brings you happiness. So fursuiting is something that will make you feel better, improve your mood, and promote positivity. During these times, it's very important that we keep up with our hobbies and activities that we enjoy. Remember that the most important person for you to be suiting for is yourself. So at this point, I would like to open up the floor to questions, of which I'm sure there will be quite a few. Bear with me just a moment here as I go back over the chat, and I will also start to put my speakers on so that I can see if there were any comments or questions from folks in the chat. Also be aware of the stream delay, so I'm just going to take a couple seconds to go back and see if there are any questions that folks have been asking here. Chaos Revenant asks, did they actually start up the Omegle weekends again? I thought they canceled them in like June last year. So most people are familiar with the original group that had Omegle fursuit meetings. That was actually a different group called Furry Omegle Weekends, I believe. That group was disbanded, and then a completely separate, unrelated group of people decided to start making their own Omegle meetups. So that is the Fuzzy O Weekends group that is currently active right now. So it's not the same group, it's a different group of people, and it's a different Omegle related event that is taking place on social media for folks who would like to get together and fursuit. Magda says, not really a question, but I really like your suit. Thank you so much. Nico, the King Beast, asks, what do you find the most rewarding when fursuiting as well as doing a fursuit photo shoot? So one of the things that I find most rewarding is simply being and embodying this character that I have made of my own creation. As I mentioned earlier, I got my start in cosplaying before I even became an active part of the furry community. Cosplaying was something that I enjoyed greatly, but it also had its drawbacks. After a while, when I decided to become more engaged in furry and I went to my first furry con, I saw fursuiters running around there, and what struck me the most was how much fun they just seemed to be having. The thing with cosplay is you're dressing up as a character that other people know from a show or a game or a movie or whatever it is. So people have this image in their heads of how that character is supposed to look and how that character is supposed to act. When you are fursuiting, you are being your own original character, which other people are not usually already familiar with. But regardless of that fact, since you are the creator of the character, there is nobody who can tell you that you're doing something wrong, you know. You have so much more freedom to look, act, speak, and express yourself the way that you want. So I greatly found enjoyment in doing that. As you can see, I chose a style of fursuit that is not really what people usually think of when they think of a fursuiter or a furry. This was the choice that I made because it is what I like the best. So that's just an example of it. And when I'm doing my fursuit photo shoots, I put a lot of time and effort into, first of all, just coming up with these concepts for the things that I would like to model or to display. I spend a lot of time setting up my backgrounds and props. I choose my apparel or my costumes for the events. And I, of course, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes my partner helps me out, but more often than not, I'm also doing my own photography. I'm doing self-photography. Then I edit those pictures myself as well, you know. It's not like I have a paid editor to do all this stuff. So it's really just like a full culmination of my own creativity in many different, you know, fields. And that all comes together into an image or a video that I choose to share with the furry community at large. And then when I get responses from people like that saying something like, oh wow, this picture's so cool, or oh, I really like how your hair is in this one, or oh, that's such a cool idea, I would like to do that with my fursuit. You gave me some inspiration today, thank you for posting. Like, that really makes me feel happy, and it makes me feel more connected to other furries in our community. Master Bondo Fox asks, how do you clean a fursuit? Well, the number one thing to remember is that each fursuit is built differently. So not all fursuits are the same. If you're making a fursuit yourself, you would probably be the person who knows best on how to clean it. Otherwise, you would ask your fursuit maker if they have any recommendations for how to maintain the fursuit. There are some like general rules of thumb when it comes to maintenance of a fursuit. However, like I mentioned, it's really very, very specific, so I tend to not speak in absolutes. Things to keep in mind are the more physical activity and the more roughhousing that you're doing in your fursuit, the quicker it will get dirty, and thus the quicker you will have to wash it. If you don't like run around outside or do things like dancing or children volunteering or stuff like that in your fursuit, if you're more of like a look but don't touch kind of fursuiter, that will help prolong the lifespan of your suit, keep it from wearing out as quickly, and also keep it from having to be washed as much. Now notice that I'm saying wash. This means like cleaning it with soap and water. That does not necessarily need to be done for all fursuits at the same frequency. For instance, I have a fursuit with a lot of airbrushing, which is generally not something that you're going to want to get wet and soapy. Though every fursuit does need to be disinfected after each wear. Disinfecting is something different than washing. You generally use an alcohol-based spray or some other kind of bacteria-killing spray in the fursuit that, as stated, kills bacteria and keeps it from getting all snarly and gross. Sky Husky asks, how would people know if you're wearing a face mask in your head? How do you show them? That's a very good question, and not one that I have had to experience myself because I do not do a lot of public fursuiting. I'm not the kind of person that would appeal to. I much prefer to fursuit on my own, or when I go out in public, I'm not engaging with other people. I'm kind of just there to take pictures by myself and move on. Some furry conventions are coming back to in-person gatherings. I've noticed that most of them that I have seen so far this year at least have mentioned that they will be requiring fursuiters to wear masks underneath the fursuit. I do not know how these conventions will be enforcing these regulations, if at all. I myself have chosen to make the decision to not attend any in-person furry cons until 2022 for my own safety and the safety of those that I live with, as well as other reasons. So I'm not really sure. I would need to, you would need to speak to, if say you're going to a furry convention, the staff members there and ask that question to them. Adrian asks, what's your personal favorite way to suit at home? Something that I enjoy very much is taking fursuit pictures. So I do a lot of modeling and photography. I also enjoy doing videos in fursuit. Since the pandemic began, I've really gotten into doing furry conventions like this one. Online furry cons and furry con panels have been a great source of enjoyment for me. It's something that has helped me improve my public speaking skills, my presentation skills, as well as editing and networking and things like that. So really I'm improving myself as a person.
Excuse me, your mic seems to be muted.
Also, as a reminder, this panel is being recorded, so if any of the questions or any of the content was missed, you'll always be able to go to my, there we go, it's mirrored for me. You'll always be able to go to my YouTube channel, the link of which is up there at the top. So yeah, I didn't actually say anything after the wearing the face mask, so I think that was about it. And let me see, the previous question to that was, how hot is it inside a fursuit? I've heard lots of people say that it's hot, but does it have an equivalent with certain clothing or something like that? That's a very good question because different people's bodies react to heat in different ways. I would say that it is comparable to wearing 2 sweatshirts and 2 pairs of sweatpants, and if you have something like a, I don't know, like a snowboarding helmet or something over your head and going out there on a summer day. It's very warm, not so much hot as it is just keeping your own body heat in. Even if you have the most ventilated fursuit in the world, the human body does not like breathing in its own recycled air, so after just a couple minutes of breathing in a fursuit head, you will start to feel warm and overheated. There are certain things, of course, that you can do to mitigate that if you'd like to get into fursuiting, but if you have, say, a medical condition or something that will decrease your stamina or your heat tolerance. For instance, I chose to get a partial fursuit, which is a specific style of fursuit that does not have any faux fur material covering your body, so you can regulate heat a lot better that way. I also have a fursuit head that utilizes my own hair as well as my own eyes. That provides more ventilation in the head, as well as a moving jaw, which assists with ventilation. There are other things that you can get, such as cooling vests or cooling collars that you can wear under the fursuit to lower your body temperature. A lot of fursuiters have handheld fans that they can blow on themselves. And of course, things such as taking breaks every now and then to drink water, take off your fursuit head, and cool down. If you go to a furry convention, there will be areas called headless zones or headless lounges where fursuiters can do that away from prying eyes, so you don't have to worry about anonymity or stuff like that, and just take a break, because it is most important to make sure that you yourself are healthy and you're listening to the signs of your body when you're fursuiting. I think there were a couple other questions mentioned. Let's see. Star Dragon asks, where did you get the screenshot from the fursuit meet and greet panel? I joined the fursuit meet and greet panel yesterday and took a screenshot. Nico asks, do you have a memorable photo shoot that you've done around a holiday, Christmas, Halloween, etc.? Yes, Halloween is my favorite holiday of all time. I absolutely love everything to do with the macabre aesthetic of it, and even as a kid, I so much enjoyed dressing up in costume. You know, that was one of my favorite parts of Halloween, and gee, I wonder if that may have influenced other things that I liked to do later on in life. But I have great memories associated with the holiday, so I always try to do something special for Halloween. Each year in fursuit, I dress up my fursuit as a different character, and I do a little at-home photo shoot. I think my favorite one was actually 2 years ago. when I dressed up Shetani as a witch, and I also dressed up my partner as a black cat. So we did like a cute little couples photo shoot where I was like the witch with my black cat familiar, and I was like transforming her into a kitty cat, and it was really cute. We both had a ton of fun, just like doing it together. It's really great to have a partner or a friend that you can share your hobbies with, whatever those hobbies may be. We both happen to be into the furry community, and she's actually the one who got me into all of this. So it's just even more fun to be able to share that with her. Another question from Nico. What was the most memorable photo shoot that you have done at a convention? I would say at a convention, the most memorable photo shoot that I have done was at AnthrocOnline 2019. When I arranged a group of other fursuiters with MagpieBones Fursuits, which is the maker of this fursuit that I have. This was an off-the-schedule meetup. It's very hard to get an event on the actual schedule at Physical Anthrocon because there's just so much competition for people wanting to host events there. So I kind of arranged this meetup myself on social media. A bunch of people got together, and somebody had a photographer friend. They were like, yeah, I'll ask them to come along and take the picture of us. And I was like, oh, that's great. So we all got together and we all got to take pictures as a group. It was so much fun because I finally got to meet other fursuiters who enjoy this aesthetic and enjoy this type of costuming that I do. And we got some great pictures together. We did some like very professional ones, and then we did some silly ones where we were like fighting with weapons, and like somebody gave me some poison and like I died on the floor, and it was really fun because they also brought these fancy backdrops. There was like a castle one and stuff, so it was really, really fun, and we got a lot of great pictures from that. There are a lot of fun experiences and opportunities at furry conventions. Anthrocon in specific, there's so much that you can do there because it's one of the biggest furry conventions in America as well as the world. So if you happen to be able to make it out to Physical Anthrocon one day, I highly recommend that you do so. Not everybody, of course, has to go to conventions to be a participant in the furry community, but for those of you who do, I highly recommend Anthrocon. It's a very good one to attend. Let's see. Star Dragon says, I'd say your first suit should be a partial till you get used to it. That's definitely something good to mention, though it is good to keep in mind that there is kind of a mindset within the community that a partial fursuit is like less than a full suit or like a stepping stone up to a full suit. Absolutely not the case. A partial fursuit is a complete costume in its own right. It is simply a different choice of style. So people who have partials are not less than people who have full suits. Neither are people with full suits better or worse than people with partials. They're simply different choices. Like, there's realistic fursuits and there's cartoon-looking fursuits. Which one is better? Neither, really. It depends on the person and their own decisions and their own aesthetic preferences. Chaos Revenant says, highly recommend doing a photo shoot around any large feast holiday and pretend you're stealing the food. Makes for some really fun photos. Oh, that's a good idea. I did a Thanksgiving photo shoot a while back where I was cooking the turkey. I was not exactly stealing the turkey, but that's a pretty good idea. Oh, I did take some like Halloween candy pictures where I just had like a big pile of Halloween candy and I was like, being a candy gremlin over it. So that's pretty fun too. Nico asks, what do you find the most unique about your fursuit? It's really beautiful and gorgeous. Thank you so much. Well, the most unique thing about my fursuit is, of course, that it is mine. Every person creates their own fursona when they join the furry community, which is something that I find really special about us. Any other sort of fandom, people are appreciating other characters. And, of course, you can, like, make OCs for other fandoms. Like, Homestuck is a big one that people do. But you don't really see it in the scope as the furry community. We're making our own characters and we're fans of each other, which is something great that helps promote creativity. So when it came time for me to get a fursuit, I had certain needs that needed to be met for me to be able to fursuit safely, comfortably, and happily. I did a lot of research. I did like a year of research into the fursuit makers that were available at that time. And I finally decided on MagpieBones, who was the only person in the community at that time who would be able to create a fursuit that matched my own vision for what I had for my fursona. And yes, that goes again with the next question asked, who did you get it from? My fursuit maker is called MagpieBones. She specializes in use your own eyes fursuits, so she only makes fursuits that the person's actual eyes are visible out of. Then makeup is used around the eyes to complete the look and cover up any human skin. So she doesn't make like cartoon-looking fursuits or fursuits with the glass taxidermy eyes in them. She specializes in this type of fursuit because she prefers to make characters that are less like a theme park mascot and more like actual living, breathing people that you can speak to, have a conversation with, and interact with, which aligned very closely to the vision that I had for my own fursona. And yeah, Adrian asks, how did you decide that you wanted to use your own eyes suit? I kind of touched on that a little bit, but I'll go into a bit more specifics. So my fursona is kind of more of a representation of my real life self. Some people have a fursuit that's like, some people have fursonas that are more of like a character that's like very different from how they are in real life. Mine is very similar to how I am in real life. So she has the same hair as me, she has the same eyes as me, and the same glasses as me. Those are the three best features that I enjoy most about myself, so I decided to give them to my fursona, and they would of course need to be represented in a physical fursuit of her. During my time in cosplaying, I learned there were certain things that I could not handle very well. For example, I didn't want to wear any wigs with my fursuit. That was something I had to deal with a lot with cosplaying, and it was very hot, very cumbersome, very messy, and it also looked really gross. I did not find it prudent to get a fursuit head that would cover up my real hair and my real glasses and then just put fake hair and glasses on top. That seemed really redundant to me, and it would not make very much sense. So I sought out a fursuit maker who would be able to do this. At the time, which was back in 2013, I believe, there were only two readily available fursuit makers who could make use your own eyes fursuits. It was MagpieBones and one other. And out of those two, MagpieBones was the only one who I had seen had made a fursuit that also used the person's actual hair. So I was like, yep, that choice is made for me. So that's the person that I decided to make my fursuit. Takashari asks, is there any place that I can find the links from the presentation today? I'm in the Anthrocon Discord group and Telegram group. You can contact me there to get the links. Other than that, as it states down at the bottom of the screen, the presentation is being recorded. It'll take me a couple days to edit, but afterwards it will be available on my YouTube channel. I believe I do actually have, yes, I have a links page there. So there are a couple of the places where you can find me online. That YouTube right there is where I will be putting the video from today's presentation. After that is all said and done, you will be able to locate the links to any of the other groups or fursuiters or channels that I mentioned in the presentation. Nico asks, any favorite outdoor outdoor photo shoots? None that I can really think of at the moment. I much prefer to do indoor photo shoots with my fursuit. I don't like to go outside, or I would like to go outside more if there weren't people there. But yeah, as I mentioned, I don't prefer to interact with other people when I'm fursuiting. Maybe if I lived in a less populated area, that would be more of something that I would do. I did get to do a photo shoot last October at the same time that I was filming my clip for the Infernity Chain reaction video. I took a couple pictures there And yeah, those came out really well. I had just dyed my hair to match an outfit that I put together for the photo shoot. It was a very, very nice day. The weather was perfectly agreeable for fursuiting, not too hot, and I got some really nice pictures out of that. I also got a good outdoor photo shoot at Anthro New England. That would have been either 2018 or 2019. Did I go in 2019? I can't remember. I think I did. I think it was AnthrocOn 29. I'm sorry, Anthro New England 2019. Which is a convention that takes place in Boston, Massachusetts in February, so it's normally very snowy there. I got to go outside with a photographer to the park across the street from the Boston Hotel where the convention is held, and I got some really cool fursuit pictures in the snow. I got one where my breath was fogging up my glasses, so it made it look even more realistic, and it just came out really, really great. Let's see. We do have about 10 more minutes. If anybody wants to ask any questions, I'm going to take a drink of water because it is very important to stay hydrated when you are fursuiting. That is very refreshing. You don't realize how hot you get when you're fursuiting until you take a break and it all just kind of catches up with you. Another question that I get asked frequently when I do these convention panels is whether I will host panels at physical cons when they come back. I'm not sure. This is currently the only panel that I run at online conventions, and hopefully when we do return to physical cons, we will no longer need a panel about how to fursuit in a pandemic. Fingers crossed. But I may adapt that into something like fursuiting in between conventions, or like fursuiting at home, which probably wouldn't take much editing to do. At that point, I would probably want to get somebody on who has more experience with the areas of fursuiting that I am lacking in, namely public fursuiting, as well as taking pictures and videos with actual professional equipment, because those are the questions that I get asked about more frequently when I do these panels that I myself don't have an answer to, as I am taking the tack of a more amateur fursuit photographer and videographer, as well as fursuiting inside the house more than outside in public. So I might do that. I might also host different panels when I return to physical conventions. I have hosted cheetah meetups, cheetah meet and greets at a couple cons, though that was more of just like a generalized hang out and chat kind of thing than a lecture type panel. Perhaps in the future I would do something more educational where I actually speak about cheetahs or something of that nature. Perhaps I would even come up with some new ideas. Who knows what the future has in hold. Star Dragon asked, where did you get the screenshot from the Fursuit meet and greet panel? I joined the Fursuit meet and greet panel when it happened yesterday afternoon, and I took the screenshot myself for use in my own panel. All of the images that I use in my panel are either pictures that I myself have taken, or that I have asked people, various friends on social media, to submit to me, and those pictures all have the person's credit underneath, which you did see during the presentation. If you missed that, you can always go back and watch the recording at a later date to see who you may have missed. Any suggestions of resources for finding makers? There is a website called Get Fursuit. That's getfursuit.it. That is a list of many fursuit makers. While not comprehensive, of course, it is just a lot of them. It basically lists the fursuit maker, what country they're in, what kinds of fursuits they make, and that kind of stuff. That is a very good starting point to just get a lot of fursuit makers. And then you yourself, the most important part about finding a fursuit is that you yourself have to be willing to go out and do the legwork and do the research. You're the person wearing the fursuit. Nobody else's opinion is what matters more than yours. So you have to make sure that you're choosing a fursuit maker that is right for your budget, your aesthetic, your visual style, what you plan to do in your fursuit, that kind of stuff. Back when I was researching my own fursuit, we didn't have stuff like this. You just kind of had to go on Google and search, and it took a really long time. So nowadays we've got great resources like that. There's also fursuitreview.com, which is a phenomenal resource for looking at reviews of existing fursuit makers. So if you have a specific fursuit maker in mind and you say like, what are other people saying about this fursuit maker? You can go on there and see if there are any reviews of them, if they're good, if they're bad, that kind of thing. Let's see. Best suits for wheelchairs. That is unfortunately not an area of expertise that I myself have personal experience with. It would depend on, I would say, what kinds of things you need access to. For example, I have some friends who have diabetes and they use a glucose pump, so they need an access to like certain parts of their body on their torso. So for that, I would suggest maybe a partial fursuit, or you can also ask your fursuit maker if they can put in a zip or something to get easy access to that area. Again, that's something that you would have to do more of your own research into. I believe Jeannie Beats did a panel yesterday here at AnthrocOn about fursuiting with disabilities. So though that panel was not recorded, AnthrocOn is not recording its panels, so I believe you would have to contact Jeannie if you had any questions about that. But I know there have been other panels to the nature given online in past years. So you can probably look those up on like YouTube or similar, see if there's any existing research or resources that you can look into for that. Nico asked, are there ways that you relate to the cheetah? So in an interesting twist of what you typically hear from furries in the community, I myself did not really have a personal connection to the cheetah when I made my persona. I just chose the cheetah because they are my favorite animal and have been since I was a kid. As a kid, I just thought cheetahs were really cool because of how unique they are among the big cats. For instance, they're the only big cats that can purr, but they cannot roar. They also have non-retractile claws, which means that their claws are always sticking out. They can't pull their claws back in the way that your pet cat can. Later on, as I progressed through life and I went through different hardships and different life experiences, I actually found myself relating more to the cheetah, particularly the way that they are constantly downtrodden by other creatures. They try their best but often do not succeed, though they have no choice but to keep trying, and they persevere in the face of adversity, which are also things that I found myself relating to. It's very, very cool how, as a community, we all gather based on our enjoyment of animals or animal characters, and yet we can find a lot of personal meaning in that. And oftentimes, the persona that somebody chooses can often tell you a lot about them as a person, which I think is really cool. So it looks like we're about coming up to the hour and a half mark. I am just going to thank you all so much for attending my panel. I hope you all learned a little bit of something new today. If you would like to follow me elsewhere online, my Twitter is @ShetaniCheetah. I am also on Instagram under the same name, and my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Shetani. If you have any further questions, comments, or feedback on the information that I presented here today, please do not hesitate to contact me and let me know what you think. I'm in the Anthrocon Discord and Telegram groups if it's easier for you to get in touch with me there. If you'd like to learn more about who I am, what I do in the furry community, my fursuit, or the background behind my fursona, I do have a homepage that you can check out. Please remember that convention staff, performers, and panelists do all of this work to put on a spectacular, fun, and educational event for furries entirely on a volunteer basis. If you enjoyed the panel that I put on here today and you would like to show your appreciation, I do have a coffee page set up at coffee.com/Shetani for donations, and you can spot me a cup of tea or two. Once again, barring technical difficulties, I do plan to have a recording of this panel available on my aforementioned YouTube channel in the coming weeks so that you can rewatch at your leisure and share the information with people who may not have been able to watch the broadcast here at AnthrocOn. Thank you all so much. I've been having just so many expressions of positivity and gratitude here in the chat. It makes me feel very good and lets me know that what I do here is appreciated. So thank you so much. All right. Looks like, what do we got? We've got like 30 seconds left. And I didn't happen to see how many people joined the meeting, though. I'm sure when I go ahead and look at the recording afterwards, that will let me know how many folks we had here watching the panel. All right. So I am going to let everybody go. We've got some more great stuff here at AnthrocOn. I believe the dance competition is happening a little bit later, so you don't want to miss that. I will say thank you so much to everybody. Have fun, stay safe, and keep on suiting. Bye-bye.